Well, I wanted to try that out on the bike, but the bike won't start. Can smell a lot of petrol, so it smells like it's flooding in the engine. A lot of petrol fumes coming from the exhaust. Check the plugs, they look pretty wet, so I'll just try it again later. Right, because it smells like it's flooding, but it still sounds like it's firing a little bit, so I think we've got spark. I think we're flooding, so I've disconnected the fuel pump and we'll see what happens when we run it a little bit lean. Yep, the exhaust pipe smells very blooded. So I got the air filter off and it smells really fumey of petrol. So I just plugged my spare coil in and I have spark on both of them. Okay, let's focus. The front plug is pretty wet, so it's still flooding. I'm going to check these plugs. They are pretty new, they're only 1 year old. So we're just giving the plug a 500 volt zap with an insulation tester, and that's saying it's a dead short circuit. So that plug won't be given a spark. So I'll just check it with the ohms, and we're getting 21 kilo ohms through there, which you should not get. A good plug shouldn't give you anything. It should be open circuit. So here's a spare plug that I've got. As you can see, there's nothing, no reading through that. Only if you touch on the center tip. So from where the coil should be touching there to there should be nothing. Try it with the insulation tester. We'll give it a 250 volt shock. Perfect. We'll give it a 1000 volt shock. 600 mega ohms. So something's gone wrong with this plug. Let's get the back plug up. So the vertical plug is very wet looking as well. So let's just do a quick ohms test. And sure enough, we've got a reading there. We shouldn't get anything on ohms. Let's try the insulation test. We're running 1000 volt. Dead short circuit. 500 volt. Dead short circuit. 200 volt. Dead short circuit. This thing should be able to handle 40,000, 20,000 volts. Right, I'm going to get the heat gun and I'm going to warm these up and dry them right out. So the plugs are 18, 19 degrees. I'm going to heat them up with a hot air gun, get them nice and warm, try and dry them out and see what happens. Around 80, 90 degrees. That plug is starting to smoke now. $100 degrees. The heat gun is 240, 250 degrees. So they're nice and hot now. I can feel the heat coming off them. So we'll see what they insulation test when they're hot. So let's see if we can get you a view of that. It's still failing. It's a little bit better, 0.1 of a mega ohm. But at 500 volts, which is still a dead short circuit, there's no way that plug will spark. Let's try the other one. Same again. It's just not going to spark. It's going to dead short down to the ground and that's it. Yeah. So those plugs were brand new at 40,000 Ks, 2020. I'm at 42,000, 2022. So they're only 2 years old. So I went to the auto store, got these new auto light ones, which I've never seen or used before. They don't have the NGK ones anymore. So this is the replacement that they have for them. And as you can see, there's no ohms reading through the earth part. And then the center electrode is 7.4 kilo ohms. And we'll give it an insulation test. So 250 volts. Perfect. 500. 1000. Perfect. So that's a little bit less. 500 mega ohms, but that should be good. So the ceramic is about 10.2 millimeters in diameter, and these ones is just under 10 down here, and it's about 9.5 down here. So the little bit thicker on the ceramic with the new one. Other than that, they look the same, measure the same. But that fits in tight. NGK falls out. Okay, plugs are back in. The gap was all good, didn't need to change it. Let's see, I haven't plugged the fuel pump back in because I'm thinking it may be still flooded a little bit. So we'll just try it first. Sweet. Alright, fuel pump's back on. Fuel pump's primed.